Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Nathan sent me a note about something happened at a school in Florida. And think back when you were in elementary school or middle school and you had teachers and you're like, wow, these teachers know everything, right? And you know who knows the most? The principal. And it wasn't until later years when I was an adult and I looked back and I said, I think that teacher I had that I thought was so smart was only like 23 years old. And they didn't actually know everything. And then later you think back on some of the things they told you and you realize that they were wrong. Well, here's a Florida principal who's resigned after sending $100,000 to a scammer posing as Elon Musk. Now, NBCMiami.com reports the story. And what's comical about this is there are these scams that go around where someone will contact you and go, hey, I'm Michael Jackson. I'm still alive, and I need some money to record a new album. Can you help me with that? And I've heard of people falling for that. I've also had friends of mine send it to me and say, Steve, look what I just got. Turns out Michael Jackson is still alive. But people fall for all kinds of stuff. And so here we have an actual principal whose name begins with the letters DR. So she's a doctor of some sort. I'm guessing a PhD in education or administration of some sort. She was the principal at Burns Science and Technology Charter School in Oak Hill. And she said she was groomed by someone for 4 months who was posing as the SpaceX founder, Elon Musk, who is also the CEO of Twitter and Tesla. In case you didn't know, Elon Musk is this guy who's kind of well known. And he's got lots of money. By the way, he does not need your $100,000. But the principal of a charter school in Central Florida resigned after saying she wrote a $100,000 check out of the school's account to an internet scammer posing as Elon Musk. Now, the story's not completely clear on what the story behind that was, but I think I know. Well, we'll get to that. The doctor was the principal of this center charter school in Oak Hill. She said she was groomed for 4 months, and this is all according to WESH. She said, I am a very smart lady, well-educated. I fell for a scam. She said she had been trying to get Musk and his money involved in the STEM school for years. So she says, I am a very smart lady, well-educated. I fell for a scam. Those 3 sentences do not form a syllogism, okay? That's not a dirty word either. Go look it up. So to suggest that I'm a smart lady and well-educated and I fell for a scam, those 3 sentences belong together, is actually problem number 1. But she said she'd been trying to get Musk and his money involved in the STEM school, and yet somehow she's giving him money. And you might notice that has the money going in the wrong direction, okay? Somehow she believed it, said the board chair. He must have been really convincing. She said she gave the check to someone she believed was Musk's right-hand man, with the promise of getting $6 million back. Now, here's the thing. The principal had permission to write checks up to $50,000 without board approval. So it's unclear how she did this by writing a $100,000 check, because that would have not been possible according to what she'd been allowed to do. Now she says, I put myself into this position and into this mess, and I made a bad decision. So the check was stopped, and it did not clear, so the school did not lose the money. But the principal resigned following issues from several administrators in what some called was a toxic work environment. So this is not the only thing they're complaining about with her, but apparently this was the icing on the cake. When you lose the respect of, or when your leadership is now in question, you can't properly lead, and that's going to cause chaos, says the board member who was speaking here. And so she's resigned. And that was a close call where she almost gave away $100,000 of the school's money to someone posing as either Elon Musk or Elon Musk's right-hand man. Now, you might say, but Steve, why would she be giving them money? Well, there are a couple of variations on a scam where somebody will come along and say, I have tons of money. I'm Elmer J. Fudd millionaire. I have a mansion and a yacht. And I'm willing to give you some money, but as a show of good faith, you give me some first. And it sounds so stupid, the idea that anybody would fall for that. Many people in the audience right now are going, Steve, it had to be something else. That is too stupid. That is too stupid. Well, I have to tell you, it reminds me of a scam that went around in the late 80s, early 90s that actually affected a few entities that I'm familiar with, including one that I attended. And it was the Foundation for New Era Philanthropy. And look this up. Wikipedia's got a great article on it, but if you look up New Era Philanthropy, you'll find the story all over the internet. It was a Ponzi scheme that operated from 1989 until 1995, and after raising $500 million from over 1,000 donors and embezzled 135 million of it at least. Most of the money was stolen from Christian religious organizations and charities in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area, as well as Detroit. The foundation was founded by a guy who was a prominent Christian businessman from Philadelphia, and he invited several of his Christian friends to become beneficiary donors. And he told them that, in essence, if they gave him money, he would find donors to match the money, and they'd give the money back. So if you need $10,000 for your organization, give him $5,000. He then holds it for 30 days or 90 days or whatever, and that's a show of good faith. And then he has rich benefactors who will match the funding, but he can't tell you who those people are. And so 90 days down the road, he'll give you your money back. And he actually managed to give the first few people money back, and that convinced other people to join. Next thing you know, everyone is flooding this guy with money on the theory that we'll give him some money, and then he'll give us twice as much back. And this is obviously a Ponzi scheme, but it managed to fool people such as the Philadelphia Public Library and the Philadelphia Academy of Natural Sciences, as well as a whole bunch of local organizations that were nonprofits and Christian charities. He expanded his sales force by encouraging organizations to take a finder's fee. So if you want to put up $500,000 to be matched for $500,000, you can slice 10% off and give it to yourself as a finder's fee. So it encourages people to take their organization's money, pocket some of it, give the rest to him, and then somewhere down the road he'll match it. And as the Ponzi scheme started losing steam, he started stretching the length of time before you'd get your money back. And all he was ever doing was taking money from later people and giving it to the earlier people. So in early 1995, the foundation was receiving praise in the press for giving money to religious organizations and involving high school students in charitable events. But in May of 1995, a skeptical article about the foundation appeared on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. The same day, the foundation capitulated in the face of a lawsuit demanding repayment of a $44 million loan and filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. In its filing, the foundation stated that its assets were worth $80 million, with liabilities of $551 million. And a close examination of the documents filed in the subsequent lawsuits revealed that more than $354 million had passed through their hands, and that this guy behind it had taken $8 million of that for himself. In the end, by liquidating the assets of that guy and reclaiming funds from those who had been paid earlier, the court was able to bring the total loss down to just $135 million. And the entity that I'm familiar with was one of the earlier ones that had actually gotten their money back with some more. And they were forced to disgorge that. And that's an ugly word because it means that you're giving stuff back that you don't want to give back. And ironically, I got a phone call from somebody who said, Steve, did you hear that this entity got swept up in that New Era scam? It was in the papers. I said, yeah. And my friend goes, well, the scary part is that they had gotten out and gotten their money back along with the bonus money. They thought they were good. And I go, okay. And he goes, no, the way they're unwinding it, they're making all the people who got their money back give it back, and it's going to be distributed up. So they'll probably not get their money back, or if they do, they'll get pennies on the dollar at most. And I'm like, really? And then a couple days later, I got a letter that was so clearly drafted by an attorney, but signed by the administrators at the school, explaining why they were perfectly okay to have done this where they put the money up to be matched by an anonymous donor. And in fact, it worked. And so the fact that we've got to disgorge the money now, that's almost like the work of the devil. And so, you know, when someone's promising you money for nothing, that's one thing. When they're promising you money for you giving them money first, that's even harder to swallow. So I suspect what was happening here was the right-hand man of Elon Musk had said, well, Elon gets requests like this all the time. The guy's got billions of dollars. He just bought Twitter on a whim. He yanked out his wallet and shook it, and $44 billion fell out of it. So for him to come along and toss in a couple million at your school, I mean, he could do that right now and it wouldn't even affect him. However, to prove that you're worthy, put up a show of good faith. Toss us a check for $100,000. And I'm so convinced that's what's going on here. But I'm also understanding of the people who are skeptical, who are going, Steve, that's so stupid. But Ponzi schemes are like that. And I understand that this is simply a one-off here because the guy's just saying, look, give me the money and I'll have Elon Musk give you the money that you want. But there are people out there who can say these things, and they can say these things convincingly. And that's the other thing I'd like to see, is she said she was groomed for a period of 4 months. And I have a sneaky feeling that grooming was actually more flirting. But she doesn't want to say the guy was flirting with me and I kicked him $100,000. But we also do have an issue with the fact that she had permission to write checks of up to 50 without board approval, and she cut one for 100, which obviously is a problem. But up to 50, even without board approval, seems to me to be that, and you might want to take a look at that also. Because like I said, she's got a doctor in front of her name. And don't get me wrong, I've known people with PhDs, many of them very, very smart, but many of them very, very smart in their field. And you can have a PhD in a very, very narrow, limited field. So the question always is, what's that PhD in? Is it in, fundraising from multi-billionaires, or is it in something else? So there you go. But Nathan, thanks for sending it. It's an entertaining story from NBCMiami.com. Florida principal resigns after sending $100,000 to scammer posing as Elon Musk. Maybe he has money for his next album. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. The greatest teacher I know is the job itself.